My husband's brother casually said, "Since you're earning more now, you should cover my rent, it's only fair." My husband smirked, "He's family, you have to help." I nodded and said, "You're right," which is why I made a financial adjustment. Their jaws dropped when they realized what I had just cut off. I, 34 female, have been married to my husband, Mark, 36 male, for 10 years. In the beginning, things were fine. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. Mark made more than me for most of our marriage, and I never cared. I was happy in my lower-paying job because I loved what I did. Mark never had an issue with our financial setup until I started making more. About 2 years ago, I switched jobs and worked my way up fast. Now, I make double what Mark makes. It wasn't something I rubbed in his face, and honestly, it didn't change much in our daily life. I still contributed the same amount to our shared expenses, and we still had a joint account for bills. I never made him feel like he had to contribute more just because I was earning more. If anything, I covered more of the fun expenses, vacations, occasional splurges, little things here and there. And that was my mistake. Because the moment people see you making money, they start thinking they're entitled to it. Enter Mark's brother, Mike, 38M. Mike has never had his life together. He bounces between jobs, never lasts more than a few months in one place, and hops from one failed relationship to the next. He's one of those guys who always has an excuse: his boss was unfair, his coworkers were lazy, his girlfriend was controlling. It's never his fault. And somehow, every few years, he ends up crashing at our place. It was always just for a few weeks, which turned into months. Rent-free, of course. We've loaned him money, never saw a dime back, paid some of his bills, and even let him use one of our cars when he claimed he was trying to get back on his feet. Spoiler alert, he never got back on his feet. After I got my raise, Mike's attitude shifted. At first, it was little comments. "Must be nice to have money now. Man, I'd love a job like yours where you just sit around all day and make bank. Guess you're the breadwinner now, huh?" What's that like for Mark? I ignored him. Mark ignored him. I assumed it was just Mike being Mike. Then he tested the waters. He asked for money outright. "Hey, I'm in a bit of a bind. Just need $500 to cover some stuff. I'll pay you back." I said no. He sulked for days. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. Mike came over for dinner one night. No reason, no invitation. Just showed up like always. I was already annoyed because I knew he was going to ask for something. And sure enough, halfway through dinner, he leans back in his chair, stretches, and says, "Since you're making so much now, you should cover my rent, it's only fair." I thought I misheard him. What? Yeah, I mean, you've got extra money now, and I'm struggling. It's just $1,200 a month. That's nothing to you. I blinked at him. I was genuinely speechless. The audacity of this man. Mike took my silence as hesitation, so he kept going. "Come on, you guys have a house, a good life, and I'm over here barely making it. Family helps each other, right?" I turned to Mark, expecting him to finally tell his brother to get lost. To my absolute shock, Mark smirked. "He's family, babe. We've helped him before. What's the big deal?" I felt something in me snap. I wasn't even angry at Mike. I mean, I was, but I expected this from him. What I didn't expect was Mark backing him up. This was my husband. The man I built a life with. The man who, just a year ago, had no issue with our financial situation. But now that I made more, I was suddenly expected to shoulder even more responsibility. I took a slow breath and forced a smile. "You're right," I said calmly. "Family helps each other. I'll make a financial adjustment so we can help Mike." Mike grinned. Mark looked relieved. They should have known better. The next morning, I got to work. First, I called our bank. We had a joint account for bills, but my paycheck went into my personal account before I transferred my portion into the shared one. I went ahead and cut Mark off from my personal account completely. I also moved the exact amount needed for my share of expenses into the joint account and nothing more. Second, I went through all of our expenses. Guess what I found? I had been covering way more than I realized. Netflix? My card. Hulu? My card. Amazon Prime? My card. Mark's gym membership? My card. Mark's car insurance? My card. Mark's credit card? I was the cosigner. I cancelled everything that wasn't a necessity. Third, I made sure Mike got what he wanted. I found a cheap, one-bedroom apartment in a not-so-great part of town. I paid the deposit and first and last month's rent. In his name. The lease was his. The landlord had his info. And I told them to never contact me for anything. That night, Mark tried to watch Netflix. Hey, did you forget to pay? I shrugged. Oh, I made a financial adjustment. The next morning, he went to the gym. His key fob didn't work. What the hell? I sipped my coffee. Financial adjustment. Then, his car insurance company called. Missed payment. He turned to me, looking furious. Did you cancel my insurance? Nope. Just stopped paying for it. Mark lost it. He yelled about how he needed those things. How it wasn't fair. How I was punishing him for helping his brother. And I just smiled. Don't worry, I said sweetly. Mike's rent is covered now. You said family helps each other, right? The look on his face? Absolutely priceless. Then I pulled out the lease agreement for Mike's new apartment. Oh, and good news. Mike has his own place now. He moves in next week. Mark paled. Mike turned red. And me? I was just getting started. The moment I placed that lease agreement on the table, the entire mood in the house shifted. Mike shot up from his chair like I had just set him on fire. What the hell is this? He barked, snatching the papers. Your new apartment, I said smoothly. You wanted rent covered. Now it is. First and last month, all set. You move in next week. Mark's face twisted in confusion before turning into something nastier. That's not what we meant, he snapped. Mike, still holding the lease like it was a death sentence, waved it around like a lunatic. I didn't want to live alone. I thought I'd stay here. I just needed some help, not a damn eviction notice from my own family. I tilted my head, feigning innocence. Oh. But you said it's only fair since I make more. And Mark agreed. So, I found a solution. Mark slammed his hands on the table. This is insane. You didn't even talk to me about this. I let out a dry laugh. Did you talk to me before offering up my money like it was yours? Silence. Mike scoffed, shaking his head. This is why women shouldn't make more than their husbands, he muttered under his breath. I froze. Mark didn't even react. I slowly turned to face Mike, and he must have realized he'd messed up because his smug face cracked just a little. What was that? I asked, my voice eerily calm. Mike took a step back, but his ego got the better of him. I said, he repeated, this is why women shouldn't make more than their husbands. They get power-hungry and start acting like they run the show. I smiled. A slow, deliberate, dangerous smile. Oh, Mike, I said sweetly, leaning closer, you have no idea how much worse this is about to get for you. I spent the next 2 days making more adjustments. Step 1, a little wake-up call. I called Mike's new landlord and arranged for him to get the keys early. Then I packed up every single item he had in our house, his clothes, his gaming console, his stupid collection of Funko Pops, everything, and dropped it off at his new apartment. No warning. I left a sticky note on top, your new kingdom. Enjoy. When Mike came home that night and found all his stuff missing, he went ballistic. Where's my stuff? At your place, I said, not even looking up from my book. Mark was rubbing his temples like he was on the verge of an aneurysm. Mike stormed over. You can't just throw me out. I didn't, I said. I moved you into your new, fully paid-for place. Why aren't you thanking me? That's when I saw it. Mike wasn't just angry. He was scared. And that's when I realized he wasn't using us just for the money. He had nowhere else to go. No friends. No savings. No girlfriend to mooch off. For the first time in his entire life, he was alone. And he hated it. Good. I wasn't done yet. The next morning, Mark woke up and reached for his phone. Hey, my phone bill isn't paid. Oh yeah, I said casually. I took my name off that too. It's in your hands now. He groaned. Come on, babe. This is getting ridiculous. I slid my coffee across the counter toward him. You called me ridiculous when I refused to pay for your brother's rent. Now, I'm just making things fair, like you said. His jaw clenched. He knew he had nothing to say. Then he tried one last move. Fine. If you don't want to help my brother, at least keep things the way they were for us. This isn't just about him anymore. I laughed. Like, actually laughed. Oh, Mark, I said, shaking my head. You were fine with everything when it benefited you. But now that you're feeling it too? Now it's a problem? He stayed quiet. And that's when I saw it. The look in his eyes. The calculation. He wasn't trying to fix anything. He was just trying to get back in control. I stared at him for a long time. And then, I made one final adjustment. I called a lawyer. I was this close to walking away from this marriage clean. I thought I had everything planned. But I was not prepared for what happened next. A week after I cut Mark off financially, he came home drunk. Slurring. Angry. You're destroying our family, he muttered, slamming his keys on the counter. All over money. I stayed calm. No, Mark. You destroyed it when you let your brother treat me like a wallet. He laughed bitterly, running a hand through his hair. You really think you're gonna be fine without me? That caught me off guard. Excuse me? He leaned in, smiling too wide. You think you've got this all figured out, huh? You think you're so smart, so independent. But guess what, sweetheart? That lawyer you called? He's our lawyer. My blood ran cold. What are you talking about? Mark grinned. You don't think I saw this coming? You don't think I prepared? My stomach turned. And then he said something that changed everything. I've been moving money around too. I felt like the room tipped sideways. What did you do? Mark took a slow sip of his beer, enjoying this. Let's just say, if you try to leave, it's not gonna be as easy as you think. Mark's words sent a chill through me. I've been moving money around too. I knew what he was doing. I just didn't know how much damage he had already done. My first instinct was to grab my laptop and check my accounts, but I refused to let him see me panic. Instead, I leaned back against the counter, crossed my arms, and stared at him. Explain, I said, keeping my voice steady. Mark took his sweet time, sipping his beer like he was in control. Well, he said slowly, while you were making your adjustments, I made a few of my own. You think you're so smart, but you forgot one thing, we're still legally married. My stomach tightened. So? I asked, keeping my face blank. Mark smirked. So, babe, you're not the only one who can play the money game. I've been adjusting too. Little by little. A transfer here, a withdrawal there. Nothing big enough to raise a flag, just a little extra padding for me, from our joint account. I clenched my jaw. How much? He grinned. Enough. I didn't say another word to him that night. Instead, I waited until he passed out drunk on the couch, grabbed my laptop, and logged into our accounts. And then I saw it. Over $15,000 gone. Not all at once. Not enough to cause an obvious red flag. But over the past 6 months, he had been quietly siphoning money from our shared savings account into a separate one. In his name. And the worst part? The withdrawals started before the argument about Mike. That meant this wasn't just about his brother. Mark had been preparing for this long before I ever cut him off. This was planned. He had been waiting for the moment I finally pushed back, so he could push harder. I sat there for hours, going through every detail. Mark was sloppy. He left trails. I could see which accounts the money had gone into. And if I could see them, that meant my lawyer could too. I should have felt relieved. But then I saw one more transaction. And my blood ran cold. He had taken out a loan. A $20,000 loan. In my name. That's when I realized Mark wasn't just trying to drain our savings. He was trying to leave me with debt. I felt my hands shake. This wasn't a fight over rent. This wasn't about Mike. Mark was trying to financially ruin me. And I had no idea why. I called my lawyer first thing in the morning. I told them everything. They reassured me the withdrawals could be traced, that we could go after the money in the divorce, that I could dispute the loan. But I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something else I was missing. I needed proof. And then I remembered, Mark is careless when he drinks. So, I waited. For the next 2 days, I played nice. I let him think he had one. I let him think I was scared. And on the third night, after a few beers, I asked him, so, where's the money? He laughed. Why? You planning to take it back? No, I said, keeping my voice light. I just want to know how smart you really are. Mark smirked. Oh, I'm smart, babe. Smarter than you. Smarter than you ever thought I was. I tilted my head. Then tell me. He leaned in. And then, in a whisper, he spilled everything. It wasn't just the money. It wasn't just the loan. Mark had been planning this for a year. A year. Ever since I got my raise, he had been moving things behind my back. Because he was seeing someone else. Not just seeing. He had been supporting her. With our money. And that $20,000 loan in my name? It wasn't for him. It was for her. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Mark sat back, watching my face, waiting for me to explode. Waiting for me to break. I didn't. Instead, I smiled. Because Mark had just sealed his own fate. I sat there, watching Mark smirk like he had just won some grand game. He thought he had me backed into a corner. He thought I would cry, scream, beg. But I didn't. Instead, I took a slow sip of my wine, placed the glass down, and smiled. Wow, I said. You really thought you were going to get away with this, huh? Mark's smirk wavered for a second. What's that supposed to mean? I leaned in. It means, sweetheart, I said, my voice dripping with mock affection, that you might have been moving money, but I've been moving things too. His face dropped. What the hell are you talking about? I stood up, walked over to my bag, and pulled out a folder. This, I said, dropping it in front of him, is everything I've gathered in the past week. Bank statements. Loan documents. Transfers you made. In my name. Mark's face turned pale. Where did you get this? I have my ways, I said simply. He flipped through the papers, his breathing getting heavier. Then, I hit him with the final blow. And this, I said, pulling out one more paper, is proof of your little affair. His eyes snapped up. You're lying. Am I? I tossed the document onto the table. It was a bank transfer receipt, from our account to some unknown woman's account. The description? For rent, my love. Can't wait to see you again. I let that sink in. Mark's mouth opened and closed. He looked like a fish gasping for air. Don't, I said, holding up a hand. Don't lie. Don't try to spin this. You got caught. Own it. Silence. Then, from the hallway, a voice. Well, this is awkward. I turned. And standing in the doorway was Mike. I had completely forgotten he was still staying here. Mike walked in, slow, lazy, dragging his fingers through his hair like he had just woken up. So, he said, looking between us. Mark's been screwing around? Figures. Mark's head snapped toward him. Shut the hell up, Mike. This isn't your business. Mike laughed. Oh, no, man. It definitely is. He pulled out his phone and waved it in the air. See, I heard everything from the hallway. Recorded it, too. My eyebrows shot up. You recorded it? Mike shrugged. Hey, I might be a mess, but I'm not stupid. I had a feeling Mark was screwing you over, but damn, this is next level. Mark lost it. He lunged for Mike, grabbing his shirt. Delete it. Mike just grinned. Make me. I should have stopped them. I should have stepped in. But you know what? I let them fight. Mark threw the first punch, but Mike was bigger. He shoved Mark back, sending him crashing into the kitchen counter. Bottles and glasses shattered everywhere. Mark stumbled, wiping his bleeding lip. You bastard, me? Mike scoffed. You're the one who spent years treating me like a loser while you were out here playing sugar daddy with our joint money. Mark looked at me, desperate now. Are you really gonna let him do this? I folded my arms. I didn't tell him to record you. But I'm definitely not stopping him. Mark turned red. He knew he was trapped. And then, he did what all cowards do. He ran. Grabbed his keys. Stormed out the door. Slammed it so hard the walls shook. Silence. For the first time in years, my house felt empty. Mike let out a low whistle. Well, that was a train wreck. I turned to him. You actually recorded it? He held up his phone. Full audio, crystal clear. Wanna send it to your lawyer? I blinked. Mike, the mooch, the screw-up, the walking disaster, had just given me the final nail in Mark's coffin. Yeah, I said, exhaling. Send it. I filed for divorce the next morning. Between the financial records, the loan fraud, and the affair, Mark had no leg to stand on. My lawyer froze our accounts before he could take another dime. And since he put the loan in my name, but the money went to his mistress? The bank opened a fraud case. Mark was fed. Oh, and the mistress? She dumped him the moment his money stopped coming. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Mark? Last I heard, he had to move in with his parents. They weren't happy about it. Oh, and because he had no money left, he had to borrow from Mike. Let that sink in. Mike, the guy he always looked down on, had to lend him money. Mike? Still a mess, but a little less of a mess. He actually found a job. Paid me back half of what he owed. And honestly? I think, for the first time in his life, he actually learned something. Me? I'm free. Financially. Emotionally. Mentally. And let me tell you something. I have never slept better.